This programme is brought to you by Heineken and Walkers, UEFA Champions League sponsor.
After a season of what seems to have been unending drama, now it's all eyes on Madrid for the main event. Tottenham and Liverpool have made it all the way to Atletico Madrid's Estadio Metropolitano for the 2019 Champions League final. It's been some journey.
All time is relative. The pulse of a hope to the beat of chance. Victory can be swift, as can defeat. Time never gives up, so why should we? It makes you face a destiny you feared. Time swoops in to tear your heart in two, then mend it again. But just like that, it can make you give up on yourself. Feel like your time is up. Time to make the unexpected move. Time never gives up. There is always time for glory.
It's been 11 years since the only other all-English final in the Moscow reign. Conditions couldn't be more different this year, as Tottenham and Liverpool supporters have been flooding into the Spanish capital all week for the biggest club game of them all. According to some reports, up to 100,000 fans are expected here for tomorrow's game, with tickets changing hands for up to £25,000. And this is where they all want to be. Inside Atletico's Estadio Metropolitano, 63,500 will be inside here tomorrow night. Each club has an official allocation of just over 16,000, but expect plenty more fans from both sides to be in here by kick-off. Well, Liverpool arrived a short time ago here in the Metropolitano. The Reds are playing in their 9th final and have made it this far for the 2nd successive year. We're live for the next hour for their open training session. Welcome to the first of 2 preview shows tonight. Liverpool are just making their way out now. We'll be with them for the next hour, and we'll also be live later for Spurs as they train around 6:30. And joining us in the studio for the next hour, Rio Ferdinand, Michael Owen and Steve McManaman. Who's excited? Rio, what are your memories from training the day before a Champions League final? Are the nerves kicking in, or you're just worried about getting injured?
You want to get through it unscathed, no injuries, but I vividly remember we almost got in a massive fight because we used to play Oldham versus Youngers. We got destroyed. I think Welbeck scored a hat-trick. Like, it was like disheartening. The lads were like, "Whoa, we're not in form." You know what I mean? And then, but yeah, it was a bit of a ruckus after the training session, to be fair. But yeah, you just want to go through there, no injuries, get through and feel fit and feel comfortable mentally and physically. Simple as that.
There's been a 3-week break, Michael, since the end of the Premier League season. Do you think, in a way, that's benefited Tottenham more because they were kind of dead on their feet and been a negative for Liverpool?
Potentially in terms of form, yeah, I think you could argue that. A lot of people are saying in terms of getting people fit as well, but I'd argue that it's been helpful for Liverpool as well. Firmino's needed every bit of that 3 weeks to get fit. He trained yesterday. Hopefully we see him, obviously, shortly, and then that will put a lot of minds at rest because that groin injury has been niggling him for some time now. So I think he's needed the time just as much as Harry Kane has needed the time. But in terms of form, then I agree. I think Tottenham were the team that weren't in form. Liverpool were obviously flying, so Liverpool are going to look to carry that on.
And Steve, Liverpool missed out on the Premier League by a single point, amassing an incredible 97 points. We'll talk more about Jurgen Klopp later. But how much pressure is there on him and Liverpool to deliver?
I think there's a certain amount of pressure on both teams and both managers because of various different reasons. I think Liverpool will be probably more devastated if they don't win tomorrow because of what they achieved last year, getting to the final. What they've achieved this year, they feel as if you speak to people and it's like they deserve to win the game tomorrow because of what they've achieved in the Premier League. But we know that this competition is a brutal competition. If they leave empty-handed, you know, they will be devastated, and rightly so. They've had an incredible year to win and come away, get so close to getting to the Premier League, to get so close to get lifting that trophy. To leave with nothing and then have to start all over again. It's a long haul. It's a long old haul till next year, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. Well, it's the second all-English European final of the week. The first time one league has taken all 4 final places. The question is, could the Premier League take over from Spain as Europe's dominant force over the coming years? Seb Hutchinson looks back to the first time English football ruled over Europe.
Sometimes I take a step back.
From Real's first in 56 to Celtic's feat in 67, English clubs were absent from the showpiece of the European Cup. 68 saw Manchester United break that sequence, but it didn't signal any sudden successes. When Leeds lost in the 75 final, it stretched England's winless run to 7 years. However, just 2 years later in Rome, Liverpool began a 6-season run of English club domination with a 3-1 victory over Borussia Mönchengladbach. In 78, the national team failed to qualify for a consecutive World Cup. Yet no such issues for Liverpool at the home of English football, thanks to a Scotsman. 79, a different name on the trophy, but still one from these shores. Nottingham Forest achieving the incredible feat of promotion, league title and European Cup in successive years.
John McGavin holds the cup aloft.
The next season they even retained the trophy, John Robertson humbling Hamburg. Liverpool back in business in 81. In Paris, Alan Kennedy finishing Real Madrid. The Reds eliminated early in 82, but that didn't stop the English tide. Aston Villa, the next to be champions of the continent.
Peter Wynne's goal has brought the European Cup to England again.
The run was broken in 83 by Hamburg, but a temporary blip. In 84, Liverpool were back in the city where it all began. A penalty shootout against Roma in Rome. Bruce Grobbelaar's wobbly legs played their part in the spot kick success to close the curtain on that particular act of English club triumph.
With the top 6 looking so strong at the moment, Michael, do you think we're looking at another period of English dominance in Europe?
Yeah, I do. I think I don't think this season's been a surprise, though. I think we all sat on the, in the studio when the draw was made right at the outset, and we all said it'll be an English winner this season. It's been coming, and I think it's going to continue. I think the Premier League has obviously got more money than everybody else. It's just it's a fact of life. So we're going to be able to attract the best players, and I can see it. That's not to say a Barcelona. They're always Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich. They're always going to be superpowers. They'll always have one season where they pop up and win it. But I think as a rule, I think English teams will be the feared nation.
You can feel the demise, can't you, in a lot of the European teams. The great Barcelona side that we've just seen Liverpool beat in the semi-finals, that's now starting to decline. Bayern are the same. They've got a lot of rebuilding. Madrid have to buy 4, 5, 6, 7 players. Bayern are the same. Juventus are probably okay. You know, they can bring in a couple to get back to where they belong, but Cristiano's going to be retiring soon enough. So you see the English teams are getting better and better and getting stronger, where the rest of the bigger super nations need a whole lot more of a rebuilding.
A lot of them in a period of transition, aren't they? And you were in a Man United side that got to 3 finals in 4 years. What are the keys to getting to final after final?
I think it's that mental strength, and we talked about it. Maka touched on it earlier about Liverpool having the mental strength to get back here after the defeat last season. I think you can either fall away and think, you know what, we're not going to get there, we're not good enough, or you've got the mental strength to come back, to rebuild, and they've done that, and the players seem to have matured. They've acquired some players that have supplemented what they had before and made them even better. Fabinho, I think, has been a massive plus for this team in terms of the defensive composure that he gives in front of the back four, and there's a maturity now that they don't panic. I don't see that. I couldn't think of any other team really that would have had the mental strength alongside their ability to come back from 3 goals down against the Barcelona team with Messi in there to do what they've done. Added value of obviously having Anfield as the backdrop. I think that it's phenomenal. It just spoke volumes about the squad's mentality more than anything else. And I think that stems from the manager. He sets the tone. Everything filters through him.
Looking like they're here to stay. Well, 12 months ago, Loris Karius was at fault for 2 goals and Liverpool paid the ultimate price, losing out to Real Madrid in Kiev. Jurgen Klopp didn't waste any time in bringing in the Brazilian number 1, Alisson from Roma, and Des Kelly sat down with him this week.
Just try and sum up the season for us, because it's been a bit crazy.
It's been an amazing season for us. In the Premier League, doing 97 points, and then in the Champions League making great things against Barcelona in the group stage also, and now we are here in the biggest game of the season.
People remember the goals, of course, but Jurgen Klopp has been quite happy to pay tribute to the moments that you contributed to.
Oh, what a save from Alisson!
And do you regard that as being the equivalent of scoring a goal?
Yeah, maybe. It depends in the moment of the game. I think that save against Napoli was the same that scored a goal. Because after that moment you have no chance to score again. So I think it was pretty much like scoring.
And if Messi scores for Barcelona, that totally changes the task.
It was the same thing, but it's my job. I'm there for it.
Having just missed out on the Premier League title, there's a real desperation almost just to claim this prize.
We deserve this. I say the club, the staff, the players, everyone, the supporters. We just need to go to this game and play our best and facing it to like the biggest game of our lives.
Well, it was clearly a problem area, Steve, that had to be addressed. But he couldn't have asked for any better from Alisson, could he?
No, he's had a wonderful season, hasn't he? And it just shows how ruthless this manager was. He said all the right things, supporting Loris Karius, of course, after the final. But once pre-season came in, he wanted the goalkeeper. He knew which goalkeeper he wanted. He was identified, and they brought him in. And the fact that he's made some great saves and the record that they've got this year, I think, speaks volumes. Certainly him, and of course, the improvement in the defenders. But this save was.
They wouldn't have been out the group without him, would they?
No. But there's going to come times in games when you can have as good a back four as you want. There's got to be a moment when your goalkeeper stands up. And this season, I mean, he's been phenomenal. He's got he won the most clean sheets in the season in the Premier League. And there were times in games when you thought, oh, they're creaking here, but then he just pops up with a save. And what I love about him is there's no airs and graces with him. It's not a big flash, anything's fake. He just gets on with his job, does it, and he's efficient. It's brilliant. For a defender to look back behind and see that there's not fireworks going off behind you. He's just calm, cool, collected, and does what he needs to do is a real refreshing thing to see.
21 clean sheets in the Golden Glove. The stats are obviously super impressive, but is it as much about how he is in the big moments, how he shapes them?
Yeah, I think so. I think, as Rio sort of touched on there, I don't think he's one of these goalkeepers that plays for the cameras. I don't think he ever leaps, and tips one round in the top corner and things. I think he's so efficient. He's in the right place. Of course, at the start, he made 1 or 2 mistakes with his feet, trying to be a little bit too intricate. But in general, he comes out at the right time. He narrows the angle at the right time. It's almost that he gets in such good positions that he never forces himself to make a desperation save. It's a bit like a good defender. The good defenders never ever slide tackle, and it's the same with him. He never takes my breath away with a save because he's always in the perfect position, and that's a mark of the man.
It reminds me of Edwin van der Sar in that respect. Edwin van der Sar never made no explosive saves, like you say, flying to the top corner and stuff like that, but he just was, the positional sense was perfect.
Well, we're going to go outside now because Liverpool are about to head out here at the Wanda Metropolitano. Tottenham, of course, will be hoping Alisson has a night to forget. Darren Fletcher is pitchside for us. He's got a Spurs spy with him as well.
Yes, I have, Lindsay. I've got Jermaine Genius alongside me down here. The Liverpool players are just starting to make their way out from the tunnel for the training session. There's a real sense of anticipation down here. Jermaine, it's 12 months on from Kiev for Liverpool and a lot of these players. Do you think that's going to play any part in the match tomorrow?
I think from a Liverpool point of view, you can flip it on its head and use it as a positive. They are definitely coming into the game with the experience of the build-up to this game. They're coming into this game with the hurt that they felt walking off the pitch and not, I suppose, fulfilling a very good season. And they'll feel pretty similar this season. You know, they've had a great year, but essentially, if they don't walk off the pitch, you know, tomorrow evening with that trophy in their hands, then they will feel absolutely devastated. But there's no doubt that I think from a manager's point of view, you can use that to your advantage to get them in the right mindset for the game.
From a player's perspective, that will be in their minds, won't it? The fact that they pushed Manchester City so close in the Premier League and didn't win it, and they come here for this match tomorrow with a real opportunity to cap off what has been, win or lose, a fantastic season for Liverpool.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think the league's gone now. It's done and dusted, I think, in their minds, and I think they can still be very positive about what they achieved, you know, especially, you know, if you look at the points tally and the way that they actually performed all season. So I think that's gone. You put that to bed as a player and go, great season, but just didn't quite get there. And you can isolate this and go, listen, you know, we've got a great opportunity to, you know, to create more history for this remarkable football club. And I think that's where, as a player, your mind is at.
And from a Tottenham perspective, there's a sense of naivety maybe in some of the players because they've not been here before. Can that be a good thing or a bad thing sometimes, that lack of experience?
I think it works both ways, to be honest with you. I think there'll be, you know, a part of them will be kind of fearless, going into the unknown almost. I think we all know that Liverpool are favourites, and you know, their level of expectancy is upon them. You know, so I think Tottenham and the players can use that to their advantage and hopefully come out here relaxed and play with some freedom.
Lindsay, it's going to be fascinating to see how these respective teams respond tomorrow. Liverpool's experience, Tottenham's lack of experience. The Liverpool players out there behind us now for this training session ahead of the Champions League final.
Thanks very much, Darren and Jermaine. Well, it might be quiet in the stands now, but in 24 hours' time, this place will be opening its doors to the lucky few who have tickets for the biggest club game in the world. Over 100,000 are expected in Madrid by tomorrow, and whilst these fans are all smiles now enjoying the Spanish sun, surely even the most optimistic must have thought their adventure had ended in the semi-finals.
They said they had no chance. He hits one. Oh, what a goal! That's what they said to me.
I think it's over. Is he going to get up? Can he get up?
Nobody expected me to get up. But I did. You knew you could do the impossible.
There's one back. Oh, it's 3!
You rode the Anfield Brawl.
Book your tickets for Madrid.
Never surrender.
Welcome back to Madrid and the Estadio Metropolitano in the east of the Spanish capital. Tottenham will be arriving here for their first look around in roughly an hour and a half's time for their training session later. But Liverpool are out there already. And many of this side have been here before, of course, as they lost out to Real Madrid a year ago. They've made it back again, and it's been a journey that's had no shortage of drama, starting from the very first night.
The stage is set on the opening night here at Anfield, and what a way to begin.
And it's in! Roberto Firmino off the bench with what surely is a winning goal for Liverpool. Jose Callahan, Insigne scores! And Napoli have snatched the lead against Liverpool. Here's Salah in for another. He's not going to miss one there. Believe this. It's Neymar. They were ripped apart there, Liverpool, by the speed of the Paris Saint-Germain attack. Salah's rolled his way in and he's got support. Salah in. Didn't need anybody else. He never does on a night like this. Oh, what a save! It's Liverpool's night. They're into the last 16 of the Champions League. The most successful European club sides from England and Germany.
2 free scoring sides, 2 patched up defences, and we go and get a goalless draw. Football, hey? The final night of the last 16 brings us to one of the world's most iconic stadiums for a Champions League night that could go either way.
Neuer's caught in no man's land. It's Mane! And it's in! Virgil van Dijk for Liverpool! That's the one that Liverpool needed! That's the goal to take them through to the Champions League quarter-finals!
5 times European champions Liverpool against 2 times European champions Porto. Liverpool ahead! It's brilliantly done. Firmino finishes it off. Liverpool literally in the Dragon's Den tonight. And Liverpool now running away with this. On their way into the semi-finals.
This is what the Champions League is all about. 2 European heavyweights with so much history going head-to-head.
Jordi Alba in towards Suarez! First Champions League goal of the season for Luis Suarez. Lionel Messi. He can change the balance of things in a hurry. It falls here for Suarez. Oh, he's at the woodwork. But he's got one. Oh, he scores, doesn't he, on a night like this? Messi hits one. Oh, what a goal! That is sensational. What a way to make it 600 goals for Barcelona.
They've got a mountain to climb.
Huge. I mean, they've got to use the spirit of this place. On nights like these, the players have to utilise that.
Liverpool need one of their greatest ever performances. Here's Henderson, he's away! Good save! He scored! There's one back! Divock Origi! Sadio Mane's on his way to the middle, so is Wijnaldum! Oh, it's in! Off the bench, he scored! Shaqiri. Wijnaldum! Oh, it's 3! Liverpool are all the way back! Gini Wijnaldum, the Champions League hero! Oh, the corner! They caught Barcelona napping! History made at Anfield! Miracles do happen for Liverpool in Europe, and we've witnessed another one tonight. The most amazing Champions League night this great crowd has ever seen.
Well, they certainly did it the hard way in the group anyway. Away defeats Paris, Napoli and Belgrade. They had to win that home game against Napoli, Michael, and Salah and Alisson really stepped up, didn't they?
They did. I mean, it was a stuttering start, a little bit like Tottenham for that matter in the group. You know, you were wondering whether they were going to make it. And then they've had some real tough games, but it starts here. I mean, the Napoli game was brilliant. Obviously, Mo Salah scoring a goal from a acute angle. But Rio mentioned it earlier. When you're at Anfield, there's something that's just magical about it, and it's been proven again this season. And that belief that I mean, the players now, they haven't had loads of experience about it, but in the past they've seen these great triumphs. This again was quite sensational, and results like this just give you belief that you can go all the way.
It's that when a lot of people thought they were contenders again away at Bayern, because it was a big ask after a goalless draw, but they blew them away, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so. I think particularly because of their three games in the group stages, they lost all the way from home, and Bayern are not the force they once were, but to go to the Allianz Arena with their hostile crowds, it was always a big test for Liverpool. The fact that they overcome it, the confidence really starts to build then, didn't it?
And then this night at Anfield, of course, you were commentating on this, Steve, weren't you? One of the best footballing comebacks ever.
Yes, I think because of the opposition and because of the number 10 who plays for them, they were just. I mean, I saw Barcelona capitulate last year, and I'd seen them capitulate the year before when they lost to Paris Saint-Germain. So they've always got this in them, because they haven't really got a leader who can grab them by the scruff of the neck when things go wrong. They all start looking and pointing at each other. But you still didn't think Liverpool could get the result that they needed, because they were missing Salah, they were missing Firmino. So it was just that added bit of, spice. Could they get it? But the game went incredibly well for them, didn't it? They scored at the right times all through the game, and the pressure just ramped up, and he was an absolute superstar on the night. We've said it many times.
Probably the most famous corner ever taken at Anfield.
Yeah, very much so. Quick thinking by the ball boy, and what a cross by Trent. I mean, to put it right on the money, and Origi to finish it under those circumstances as well. It was a marvellous moment.
I think what's scary for other teams, I think Anfield is the most feared ground around now in Europe. It's the most feared place to go, because the atmosphere that they're getting, that they're generating there, the emotion that comes with that, the history that they seem to drag out, the flags, everything, and then the players are able to feed off that, and they know how to do it now. They've got that experience, so they can go away in Europe and know, listen, if we're a goal down or 2 goals down, they don't panic now. They know they've done it before, they've been there, seen it, worn a t-shirt and come through flying colours. So now, even more fearful for other teams. We could go 1 or 2 goals up at home and go there and still wear the underdog almost. And that's a powerful thing to have for a team, and that's what Liverpool have got.
Yeah, Klopp's saying that he wants them to play LFC football. He clearly wants them to bring Anfield here, doesn't he, in that final tomorrow. Well, Mo Salah's Champions League final was cut short a year ago when Sergio Ramos ended his night in Kiev after just half an hour. It looked to be more Champions League misery again for the Egyptian after he was ruled out of the second leg against Barcelona, with Liverpool 3-0 down. But his teammates turned it around, and now he's got another crack at the biggest prize in club football. Gary Lineker sat down with him this week.
Firstly, how's the head? Fully recovered?
Yeah, now it's much better and all good.
Ready to play?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, 12 months on, it was obviously a really emotional game for you.
Yeah. Disappointed moment in my career and my life. Always when I describe that, I get emotional, but it's something bad. You had a good season, very good season, and you played the final Champions League after what you did with the team. It was very bad for me. When I went off after that, I was like, okay, the final Champions League, I'm out now. Everything was black. And the day after, I was like, okay, now we have to looking forward for the next one. I don't have to just still crying and think about the bus. The bus is a bust. So it was in my mind that I want to play again. So here we are.
The one thing that's missing, of course, with Liverpool is a trophy.
Yeah.
Big chance coming up.
When you fight for both competitions, the biggest competition in the world, like Champions League and Premier League, that's something huge.
Do you think the fact that you played in last year's final gives you an advantage going into this year's final?
I think so. I think now we have a bit experience. You play the final, you play semi-final twice. You saw that like the confidence that the team has it now is different. But the final, it's only one game, so you never know. The team has to be in his top level mentally and physically also.
How's it going to go on Saturday night?
In my mind, there's only one picture.
Yeah.
So it's in my mind, I see that picture maybe every day, so...
And no injuries this time?
May, the month,
and
always...
You missed that game. You missed that game against Barcelona. More nerve-wracking watching them play?
Of course.
It is, isn't it?
I was more nervous when I was watching from the stadium more than the game. In the game, it's more calm because you feel like you can do something in the game. But outside, you can't do anything. It's just like, okay, you have to accept it.
Okay, we'll find out what happens. Mo, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Great to see you.
Thank you.
Nice to see him smiling. It really felt last year that Liverpool's hopes when he went off, didn't it? Just how huge is it to have all three of that front three fit and healthy?
Of course it is. And when you lose a man of his quality, and he was in great form last year going into the Champions League final, it's very disappointing. It was very disappointing personally for him. You felt the game swing to a certain extent when he went off, because Liverpool lost a hell of a lot of firepower. The fact that they're fitting well, you want everybody to be fitting well for this game, don't you? You want all the Tottenham lads fit, and then there's no excuses.
And it's the fear it puts into the opposition as well. Just what makes the three of them so special?
I mean, we've got a couple of clips here. I'll go through them with you now, but listen, they're a formidable threesome. I mean, pace, power, guile, they've got it all. But even here's Mo Salah. Once the ball gets to his feet, if you're a defender here, you are comfortable, you're pleased. There's only three of them in the picture. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blue shirts there. You're sitting there going, right, we'll shuffle across. There's no way to go. But a player who's got a threat, that he's got a left foot look like he's got dynamite in there, he takes any tactics out of the window sometimes with his ability, and that's devastating. And that is a game changer, and it's phenomenal. And they've all got different attributes. I mean, we can go on to Mane. He's been phenomenal this season, and what I love about him is his movement, his willingness to run in behind. It's a defender's nightmare in them areas. Listen, Mo can do it on the other side as well, so it poses a threat all across the back four. But this is all about Mane and the way he runs in behind. And once he's there, it's not about getting there and waiting for people. The skill, the both feet, the guile, beautiful finish. I mean, again, that's away at Bayern Munich. That's not against any old team. And then Firmino, I mean, he's a guy who there's a bit more to him in terms of defensive responsibilities. He sometimes sets a tone in terms of winning the ball back. And this clip here really kind of epitomises what Liverpool team's about. Once they set traps, they put people in places they want them, they win the ball back, and then it's a trigger. Once they do that, you never fail to see people like Salah running behind, Mane catching up with play. And what that does is that takes players out of the equation. That distracts players, gives the player on the ball time. Yes, the defending was shoddy, but with that time, with that skill, that poise, Firmino dispatches. I mean, as a front three, there aren't many better in the world at the moment.
Well, the question now, I suppose, is how does Spurs deal with that front three? Let's go back pitch side and hear from Darren and Jermaine.
Thanks, Lindsay. That's $1 million question, isn't it, in so many ways. Mo Salah, one of that front three, is directly behind us in his little training group with Dejan Lovren, Jordan Henderson, Xherdan Shaqiri as well. So what do Tottenham do, Jermaine, to try and slow down the front three? It's what a lot of teams have tried to do all season in the Champions League and the Premier League and haven't been able to do it.
I think the most important thing is to cut it off at source. There is that obsession of how do you stop this front three, and they are remarkable when they get into free flow. But in my opinion, Trent Alexander-Arnold on the right-hand side and Robertson on the left-hand side are the biggest problem. And I think in the game, actually, at Anfield this season, I think in that first game, Spurs, they showed him a little bit too much respect. They went with 5 at the back, but Danny Rose played really deep, Kieran Trippier played really deep, and allowed both fullbacks to go and do whatever they want. And when they have that space and time, they're brilliant. So, you know, they don't usually kind of have a game plan in particular for certain teams, Spurs. But in my opinion, if you stop those two, you go a long way to stopping the front three having the supply that they need.
Roberto Firmino is out there training, but he's right on the far side of the field as we look at it. His fitness tomorrow night is key. We know the impact that Divock Origi had in the semi-final second leg against Barcelona, but for that three to really function properly, they need him at his absolute best.
100%. Is he going to be at his best in terms of what he can give? I'm not so sure. He's been out for a while, a bit like Harry Kane, but already, you know, a 70%, a 75% fit Roberto Firmino for me starts and has a huge impact on the way that Liverpool play. Drops in deep, allows others to play around him, and if he's in any type of shape, then there'll be a better side with him.
And from a Tottenham perspective, Pochettino's the kind of manager that doesn't mind surprising us with his shape and system.
Yeah.
He's also the kind of manager that will change that shape and system in game to try and cope with problems. Do you think we'll see a fair deal of that tomorrow if he needs to do it?
I think there'll be less of it, personally. I think the reason we have seen a lot of that is because they've been injuries, and he's had to adapt his team, and he's done it very well. But I think there'll be less of that tomorrow.
The training session well underway behind us, Lindsay. Mo Salah's been popping the ball around just over our shoulders. Liverpool preparing for the game and out there enjoying a feel of the Wanda Metropolitano surface.
All looking very relaxed out there. Thanks very much, Darren and Jermaine. Time for a quick break now. When we come back, we'll hear from Jurgen Klopp, who's still looking for his first trophy as Liverpool manager. He saw his side come so close in the league, and a year on from Kiev, he's keen to avoid another near miss.
Mancini's eyes when he scored the second. That was unbelievable. For me, it's the best game I ever saw, and I saw a few, to be honest. It's the best game I ever saw. It's for forever.
Welcome back to Madrid. We're expecting 63,000 in here tomorrow, but if you can't be here, there is no better place to watch it than on BT Sport. We're live tomorrow from 6 on BT Sport 2 and in 4K. And this year, we've got more options than ever before. It's the ultimate personalised viewing experience on BT Sport. We're live in 4K with Dolby Atmos, also in VR 360, and BT Sport customers with compatible devices can watch in HDR for the very first time. Just download the BT Sport app, and for more info, visit btsport.com/HDR. Well, Jurgen Klopp has been here before, of course. This is his third Champions League final now. Des Kelly took him back down memory lane.
Well, here's you and your father. It was a big influence on your life. He passed away 19 years ago now, isn't it?
Yeah, he died of cancer. But he was the best player ever played for my home village. He played,
so he was a player himself.
And he could have gone to Kaiserslautern, but his father said to him, don't do that, learn something serious, because football has no future. That was one of a lot of things my grandfather judged wrong.
You bounced around a couple of clubs, but you signed for Mainz.
We played in front of 1,500 people, stuff like that.
At the beginning?
Yeah. Nobody really wanted to watch us. With the success, the people came in the stadium, and then really Mainz became a 100% football city.
So as player and manager, what was it, 18, 19 years about that?
18 years, 18 years, yeah.
Time. And then the big move.
Nice club as well, huh? I'm a lucky guy. So, Borussia Dortmund. Brilliant club, really brilliant club.
Lots of celebrations, lots of alcohol as well. You mentioned it.
We call it the beer douche, the beer shower.
Beer shower, yeah. I like that. You built a bond with Dortmund and the fans.
Oh, yeah. With this team, it was not difficult to bond the
and
people.
A big farewell, and it's an emotional one for you as well.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
And you said you were a lucky man with your clubs.
Yeah.
Then it happens, moved here. So many positive things that have happened since then, which is why I'm going to show you all the bad moments.
Oh, thank you very much.
Moments like this, such as Mo being
tackled. The world is like that.
But these are turning points.
Oh, yes, it was a turning point in that game. Not the only one.
And Gareth scores a ridiculous goal.
Yeah. We are a completely different side to the team who played there in this game.
As we see. From the campaign this
Thank you very much. And we finish off with some positive things. Yeah, that's really
Save
nice.
them for the end. Big finish.
Yeah. Wow. Gini's eyes when he scored the second.
Yeah.
That was unbelievable.
He was furious. That's why, because you left him on the bench.
No,
he said afterwards.
That's what he said. Yeah, but that's. You know, but that's he said that, but it's not. It was not angry or whatever. It's the passion in his eyes. He nearly can't stand it. For me, it's the best game I ever saw, and I saw a few. It's for forever. It's forever, and yeah.
And so's the final.
Yes.
Forever.
Yeah. We will be there, and we'll try everything. 100%. So,
thanks for taking us through those.
Welcome.
And I bet Jurgen Klopp wishes it was a two-legged tie. It's an unbelievable record. In 13 two-legged ties with Liverpool, he's only lost one in Europe. It's 11 out of 11. But it's that finals record, isn't it? He's lost his last 6, all since beating Bayern 5-2 in the 2012 German Cup. He always gets Liverpool to the final in Europe. You couldn't ask for a better record, Steve. In that sense, it's just getting them over the line.
Yeah, he just has to get them over the line, Lindsay, of course. They've got a wonderful chance here. The favourites this year, aren't they? I think, no disrespect to Tottenham, they probably weren't last year because of the history and of what Real Madrid have achieved. But until, like a lot of managers, they've got this shadow over them. Unless you win something, we can always hit them with the same brush. Oh, you haven't won it without this, you can't do it without this. So he just needs to get one over the line. And then we'll move on then. Oh, he still hasn't won the Premier League. But there'll always be something with managers. And that's exactly how it should be. People are passionate, they want to win everything, and they want to win every trophy all the time. And until he wins one, you know, the Liverpool fans will be reminded by other fans around the country of the manager's record.
And I guess there's been sort of justification for defeats in those other finals, hasn't there, that he's lost. Obviously, Sevilla came early in his reign there. Liverpool were the underdogs against Real Madrid. Dortmund the underdogs against Bayern when he took them to that final. But that wouldn't be the case this time, would it?
No, I think Mac is right in terms of this time Liverpool are the favourites. And, of course, lots of teams go in cycles as well. We've seen it over the years. You'd have to think that Liverpool are pretty much at the start of a new cycle. Or you could have said, actually, that they've been at the start maybe 2 or 3 years ago, because they have been at playing very well. 3 European Cup finals now, or European finals in the last 3 seasons. So, but nothing to show for it. And that's when you have to make hay while the sun shines. Liverpool are a top team now. Now you need to start collecting as much silverware as possible.
Yeah, he's got a couple of big decisions to make as well. One, especially in that midfield, Rio. He's got to pick 3 out the 4 of Milner, Henderson, Fabinho and Wijnaldum. Keita's out. Who's it going to be?
Listen, that remains to be seen, but what he does know is that he can rely on all of them. He's called upon all of them all season, and they've all stepped up to the plate. And I think here, but what they've got to realise is that they can't get caught flat. In this one here, you can see straight away the midfielders are flat in that sense here, and they get picked off far too easily. They can't afford to have Eriksen and the likes of Dele Alli getting into spaces that I'm going to show you now that eventually arise from being flat. You don't want this. This is what you don't want, is this space here becoming big. And players then are being able to, top players have been able to run, get their head up behind the midfield, and then what have you got? You've got people that can actually run in behind and pose an absolute threat to your back 4. And when you've got time and space, it causes problems. They don't score from that initial movement there, but what it does, it creates panic, it creates havoc, and they eventually get their goal from it. And what we've seen with Liverpool, what's been impressive over the last 2 years especially, is the way that Klopp's got them built, set up, ready to press, ready to get onto teams, and they all take responsibility. Each and every man, you see James Milner pressing the ball from one side. Yep, they get back in, they all recover, get into their positions nicely, and they're patient, they're comfortable in these positions, they know what they've got to do to a man. Once the ball gets up there, yep, we see Jordan Henderson coming out to it. But what I love about this is James Milner. This is going to be vital. This man here, who I'm going to highlight, that's Dele Alli. He's forte is running on from midfield and getting goals. But what you need diligent workers, diligent athletes who can run and match people's runs and have the concentration to do it over a period of 90 minutes, maybe even extra time. And that's what he's got in this team. He can trust each and every one of these players. And I think this man has been, for me, the standout in this midfield this season. And what I find, 50-odd million he costs, lads. And what he does is he identifies situations. Yeah, a little bit 40s he was. But what I love about this is there's your man Fabinho, who's going to eventually tackle the magician Messi in this case. But what he does is he doesn't even allow these 3 at the back, who are under pressure here, who have got to make decisions. They don't have to make a decision here. They can sit back and relax, and he takes on the responsibility himself and says, listen, boys, I'll deal with this. Makes a tackle, and then the back 3 in that case can deal with it. And for a defender to have a midfielder who identifies dangerous situations and snuffs it out is a godsend.
Well, he hasn't said who's going to miss out. You're not going to get away with it. We've carried out a BT Sport poll, and Milner's come out on top. What do you think? Who is going to drop out?
I think, it's going to be really disappointing for the individual, but I think it may be James Milner dropping out. I think Fabinho, Henderson and Wijnaldum are probably the best 3.
Not a bad player to bring off the bench in case you need him in any position, James Milner.
He's been a superstar, an absolute superstar, and it'll be, gutting for whoever it is left out at such a big occasion.
And the other big decision, I guess, is who partners Van Dijk. Van Dijk not an option. He's only missed 3 games, and Liverpool have failed to win all 3 of those. But who will it be alongside him?
Oh, well, I think Matip, in the 2 games against Barcelona, was one of the best players on the pitch. So he's staked his claim in a fantastic fashion there. But Gomez is a huge talent, and whenever he's been called upon to perform, he's done fantastic. But this guy's in form. He has not let them down. And I think he's earned the right to go in there and play alongside Virgil.
Yeah, I think
he's been a bit of an unlikely hero for them, really, hasn't he?
Absolutely, he's been brilliant. And to be honest, you're looking at him all the time thinking he's going to make a mistake, he's going to do, and he's not. He's just been absolutely brilliant. But I think Jurgen Klopp was trying to get Gomez back in the fray, even when they were winning 2-3-0 in a Premier League game. He was bringing him on for 15 minutes. I think he was trying to ready him for this game, but the form of everybody else, I think, has meant that he's not going to change it, and I think he'll go with Matip.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think Matip, he gets unfair rap times, but he's the one who brings the ball out, a bit like Rio used to do as a centre-half. Virgil van Dijk doesn't come forward a lot with the ball and tries to commit midfielders. He hits a nice pass, he does, but it's up to Matip to bring the ball forward and commit and try and make extra numbers up in midfield. I think he's been outstanding this year, I really do. And he definitely, for me, deserves to play as much as...
It's unusual, this, having you all agreeing on everything here. Let's get the Tottenham perspective then. Can they get at Liverpool? Let's get back to Darren and Jermaine, who are now joined by Glenn Hoddle.
Yes, we are, Lindsay. We're delighted to be joined by Glenn down here, pitchside. The boys actually were just saying how sharp the Liverpool training session's been looking so far. Fellas, Tottenham's task is to try and put pressure on the Liverpool defence and get at them. I suppose it's a two-part question. Is it going to be Harry Kane or Lucas Moura that starts for Tottenham? And based on what that answer is, what do they do to get at Liverpool and cause a problem?
I think there is a slight difference, yeah. I think if Moura and Son play, they've got a little bit more movement and pace to get in behind. So that would bear the question to Liverpool, how high do they squeeze it? Certainly in the early part of the game. If Harry's playing, I think it's slightly, he can hold it up maybe a bit better, but they can actually squeeze the pitch a little bit and condense that midfield. That's what Liverpool like to do. Spurs got it wrong in the first half at Anfield. I hope they've learned that the shape they're going to play, a back four, hopefully. If they play a back three, ends up a five, they're in trouble. We can't get at them. So I think that's a real key, as well as the two up front.
I think the left-hand side of Tottenham's play is very important as well, because I think if you look at Trent, very good going forward, but I think openly can get caught out at times defensively, and I think Matip obviously being the weaker of the two centre-halves, even though he's been brilliant. That area of the pitch for me is where Tottenham should focus a lot of their play, because you have Dele who can make those great runs, you know, from the left-hand side in behind Matip for long balls, and then you've obviously got runs from Danny Rose in behind as well. So I just think that is an area of the pitch that I would focus on to try and exploit of Liverpool.
Yeah, definitely. And I think having two up there at times, you know, there's times when one of them would drop in, but Spurs like to play, I think, with the diamond. If it's going to be a four and a diamond, there are times when if those fullbacks want to go so high, Matip is the one. Matip's against Son, get yourself on him constantly, because if it's 2v2 for any length of time, the ball over the top will cause them a problem.
And actually, me and Glenn both like Eriksen just to play a little bit deeper at times, because I think dictating the game, especially in the heat that's going to be, you know, the game's going to be played out tomorrow, tempo of the game, dictating play, possession is going to be important, and Eriksen really helps that.
Thank you, fellas. I think the one thing we have learned in the last 45 minutes or so is just how important the tactical battle is going to be tomorrow. So many things that Spurs can do. We know what Liverpool are going to do. Of course, it will all be decided here in the Wanda Metropolitano tomorrow. All the answers will come our way then, Lindsay.
They certainly will. Thanks very much, guys. Just how key, Steve, are those Liverpool fullbacks? Because they have a good game, and it seems like Liverpool do.
Yes, well, they've been absolutely outstanding, haven't they? We talk about their assists, we talk about their energy levels they have. You know, the front three get all the credit, and rightly so, but these fullbacks, you know, they're extraordinary, aren't they? They're absolutely extraordinary, and they are vitally important to keep on running forward, and whoever plays at the fullback position for Tottenham, have the courage to keep on bombing forward and let them follow you, and that will drag Tottenham further and further back where you want them to be. You want them defending most of the game.
Well, 28 chances created between them in the Premier League and Champions League. As you're in agreement with everything so far, let's have a look at your combined predicted starting 11 for Liverpool. In agreement with this as well?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that this team picks itself, really. I think James Milner, Wijnaldum, Henderson is probably the only thing that could be debatable, but everything else seems to slip in. Maybe, I'll go with that 100%. I'm behind it.
Yeah, I can't say anything else but that.
Jurgen Klopp says it's the best team he's ever had.
And rightly so. Yeah, but I think we all think. But exactly, that's the thing.
We've all spoke about how well they've done this season. They've had a fantastic season. The points tally, the consistency, great players. They've scored goals. They've been exciting to watch. It will mean nothing. Trust me, if they don't win to these players.
That looks great if they lift the trophy. But if they don't, it's you know, as we said before, you know, you win or you lose, don't you? And it's as simple as that. You don't want to walk away from here as losers, as serial losers, and have to start all over again, because anything could happen come August. Anything could happen. So get the job done. Take the trophy home.
How big a factor is that experience from last year and the memories of that?
I think it is big. I think having played in it recently, I think if you're talking about history, 20 years ago, I think it's nice to have. But I think having a recent bit of experience, certainly mentally, will be a slight advantage for Liverpool.
Absolutely brilliant. Well, thank you all very much, Rio, Michael and Steve. That's it for now from Madrid. But up next is an extended look at how Liverpool and Spurs got here from behind the scenes, with exclusive access from our No Filter series, and we'll be live in 1 hour for Spurs Open training. So many times they've looked down and out in Europe, but they never know when they're beaten in the Champions League. And don't be surprised if they leave it late again tomorrow night. We'll see you in an hour.
As it stands, Tottenham are going to be eliminated from the Champions League tonight.
There is the Champions League lifeline for Tottenham. Tottenham live to fight another day.
It's win or goodbye to the Champions League. And it's Christian Eriksen who has done it. They're still alive in this Champions League after all. Spurs needing to storm an impregnable fortress. Lucas Moura has saved Tottenham's Champions League life.
Son, and then it's in. Oh, he scored! Girente! And Tottenham Hotspurs in dreamland.
Tottenham need to summon up old form and old belief.
Ziyech! The worst possible start for Spurs.
This is promising for Tottenham. And there's the goal back. Moura.
Oh, it's in! They got another one!
Here's Dele Alli. Here's Lucas Moura. Oh,
I cannot believe it! Lucas Moura with the last kick of the game. History made in Amsterdam.
it's what Champions League dreams are made of.
This programme was brought to you by Heineken and Walkers, UEFA Champions League sponsor.